If you think you know Vivaldi's Four Seasons, think again. Behind one of the most famous pieces in classical music lies a story almost no one hears. It wasn't written for royalty, for the public, or for any grand Venetian audience. It was written for an orchestra of teenage girls living in an orphanage. In this video, you will discover how these hidden musicians, unseen behind the metal screen, became one of Europe's most astonishing ensembles, and how their extraordinary talent shaped the music we know today. Once you learn who Four Seasons was truly written for, you will never hear the piece the same way again. Today, Vivaldi's Four Seasons feels universal. It scores commercials, heightens movies, and fills grand concert halls. We imagine its premiere under chandeliers performed for aristocrats in some gilded Venetian palace, but its true origin is far more unexpected. The first thunderclaps of summer, the shivering winds of winter, and the gentle blooms of spring were born inside the modest walls of the Ospedale della Pietà, an orphanage. And they were the first performed not by court musicians but by teenage girls whose brilliance was one of Europe's most astonishing secrets. In the early 1700s, the Pietà was one of several Venetian ospedali that took in abandoned children. But for musically gifted girls, it became an elite conservatory in disguise. Under Antonio Vivaldi, teacher, composer, and relentless innovator, the daughters of the choir grew into a legendary ensemble. They mastered every instrument: violin, cello, flute, oboe, the oboe, even the delicate viola d'amore. Their concerts were performed behind a metal screen that hid them from public view, yet word of their virtuosity spread across Europe. Travelers wrote in disbelief about the perfect harmony played by musicians they were forbidden to see. It was for these young women that Vivaldi composed the bulk of his concertos, including the Four Seasons. Hearing the work through this lens changes everything. The Four Seasons wasn't just musical storytelling, it was training. Each movement doubled as a lesson for exceptional students. The violent descending scales in the summer storm were technical drills. The birdsong trills of spring sharpened agility. The trembling arpeggios of winter demanded precision and control. Vivaldi wasn't simply depicting nature, he was crafting a curriculum of brilliance. Their talent pushed him to innovate, and their need for demanding repertoire sharpened his creativity. And then there is the screen, the grate separating the girls from the audience. It's more than a historical detail. It reshaped how we hear the music. These young musicians were heard, but not seen, celebrated, yet invisible. Their lives were tightly regulated, even as their music evoked thunderstorms, ice winds, and the wildness of the natural world. In that contrast, the Four Seasons becomes not only a portrait of changing weather, but an outpouring of contained energy, a voice breaking through the limitations imposed on them. Knowing this, the piece stops feeling like a polished monument of classical music and becomes something human, urgent, and deeply social. The famous summer storm is no longer just a dramatic effect. It becomes the echo of a young woman behind the screen, her name forgotten, her skill preserved in the notes we still hear. The journey of the Four Seasons from a hidden orphanage chapel to one of the most performed works in the world is more dramatic than any of the scenes it musically describes. 3 centuries later, one thing remains true. The storm we hear today was first and foremost theirs. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.